Hello, children. This is Miss Pint. I'm so sorry I couldn't be there with you today, but don't you worry. We're going to do some learning even if I'm not there. So if you haven't done so already, please take out your notebooks. We are going to be taking notes today on Chapter 7, Section 6. Today we're talking about percent of change. So our learning target for today is I can find the percent of change using a formula. This should be the title of a new page. Now the first thing we need to do is we need to actually write down that formula. So in your notebooks, would you please write that percent of change equals the change we see over the original amount. Percent of change equals the change divided by the original amount. So let's look at an example or two of that. In your notebooks, would you please write down this first example? Example 1, I'm asking you to find the percent of change from $32 to $44. I'll give you a moment to write that down. Find the percent of change from $32 to $44. If you didn't have a chance to write down that previous formula, here it is again. We're going to look at our change over our original amount. Okay, so in these types of problems, order really matters. So when it says 32 first, this is like where we're starting at. So I'm going to kind of make a note to myself that this is the starting amount or the original amount. You should do this as well in your notes. Then they list 44 next, which means this is the ending amount. So again, you should be writing this in your notebooks as well. 32 is our start, and 44 is the end. So if we're following our formula, we're looking first to be putting the change on top, and then the original amount on the bottom. Well, we don't have to do any math to fill in this bottom part because the original amount is how much we're starting with. So I'm just going to write down 32 in the bottom of my fraction right away. So when we're looking to find the change, you have two options for this. You can do this mentally, or I will give you a more concrete way to do it in about 2 seconds. So what I mean mentally is you're looking to see how much the money, or whatever we're looking at, has gone up or down, right? The change. So to go from $32 to $44, that's definitely going up, more money. And I can personally do this in my head. I know that 32 plus 10 is 42, add 2 more. This has gone up $12. So that would be my change. Now, if you're not the type of person that can easily see that in their head, not a problem. You can find the change by taking the ending number minus the start. So why don't you write that down if you were a little bit overwhelmed by that mental process. Either way, you're going to get the exact same answer, right? We ended with $44 and we started with 32. So when I take 44 and I subtract 32, I'm going to get 12, just like I did when I did that mentally. So please use whichever method you feel comfortable with. Either way, I know that the amount of money has changed by a positive $12. Now, since I'm asked to find the percent of change, I can't leave it as a fraction like this. So I'm going to get out my handy dandy calculator, and I'm going to take my top number, 12, and I'm going to divide by 32. 0.375. 0.375. Now this is a decimal. If we are asked to find the percent, I need to take this decimal point and move it over 2 spots. So it looks like the percent of change in this situation was 37.5%. Make sure that all of these notes are correct in your notebook, and if you need to, now would be a good time to ask questions. 37.5%. Woo! Example 1 is done. While some of you are finishing up that previous example, please write down example 2. Last week, Cody had $16. He spent some and now has $5. Find the percent of change. As I said before, please write down example 2 in your notes. Last week, Cody had $16. He spent some and now has $5. Find the percent of change. Okay, so what always helps me is to kind of give myself a really nice visual of exactly what's the start, exactly what's the end. As I said before, and for the most part, order really matters. So since it says last week Cody had 16, that comes first, we're comparing that to what he has now. 16 would be the starting amount. Now he has $5, so that would be our ending amount. So make sure this step is included in your notes. I can go ahead and fill in the bottom of my fraction already because I know what the original amount is. I know that he's starting with 16. Okay. Now this time when you're looking at what he started with and what he's ending with, Cody has less money. So this is definitely going down. Mentally, I'm thinking, okay, well, down $10 would give him $6, but he went a little bit further. So this is down $11. If that process is not your favorite, you can again take the ending number, 5, and you can subtract the beginning number, 16. Either way, you should be getting a negative answer, negative 11. So just like when we first started talking about integers this year, it really, really matters that we got a negative number. So make sure if you've got a change that's going down, so someone's losing money, or maybe we're losing elevation, or we're losing puppies, oh my goodness, make sure your top number is a negative. So now when I pull out my handy dandy calculator, I have a negative 11 and I'm dividing by 16. Negative 0.6875. Negative, let's see if I can remember this, 6875. Is that right? Yes, okay. So as weird as it seems, it is really important that you include that negative in your answer. Again, we're looking for a percent, so I'm going to move my decimal 2 spots over. And Cody's percent change is a negative 68.75%. That means it went down. Cody's losing money. How dare you, Cody? Make sure all of this is correct in your notes. Make sure you really understand what I'm doing here, where my top number is, where my bottom number is. Top number would be the change, bottom number is what he started with. When I get a negative answer, that means his amount is going down. He is losing 68% of his money. Okay. The very last thing I want you to do is I want you to try this problem. After you guys get done trying it, I have another video that's going to show the explanation. So don't you worry, the sub or Mrs. Penton has these slides and the video is linked where this question is. Okay, so please give this one a try and I'll see you in a couple minutes. Good luck.